I know my Uncle Jim's going to sue him because he owes Uncle Jim over $1,500. And the judge and the lawyer told him that he had to pay Jim, and he still ain't paid him. And it's been how long? A year? Yes, Jim is suing him for $1,500, what he owes him. Plus, Vaughn's going to have to pay the lawyer. And if Vaughn don't pay pretty soon, Vaughn could go to jail for that because it was court ordered by the judge.
You know, I ain't paying somebody that stole from me. Are you fucking high? No way. But we're doing a Sunday special because, well, as you can see, money. Lots of money. For me personally, we're talking about $32,141,500 and some odd change. That's what we're talking about for me. Now, that's a lot of money. But yeah, so, you know, the main reason, for years I've been trying to get SSI and can't get it. And the reason why is because every time I call them, oh, well, you didn't pay in. Well, of course I did. I paid in. I was working 3 jobs a day in Ohio. 3 jobs a day. Landmark Ford, Carry Ford, and airtight windows. 3 jobs a day. 2 full times and a part time. I was working my butt off. What do you mean I didn't pay in? Then when I come down here, the first thing I did as soon as I got down here was get me a job in a factory working at Anvil. Funny how the trolls and haters never bring that up. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing how the goddamn YouTube trolls never bring that shit up? Isn't that amazing how that is? I wonder why that is, folks. Hey, maybe people need to start asking serious questions like, hey, why did you guys ever mention the fact that he worked as soon as he come down to? And then when I wasn't working at Anvil, I laid carpet with a friend of mine. They won't tell you that either. Probably how I messed up my legs, to truth be known. But yeah, I laid carpet with a friend of mine. I worked a factory job at Anvil. Plus, I worked 3 jobs up in Ohio. And plus, I worked in the nursing homes. Not just my mother's, by the way. I also volunteered at Fort Hamilton Hospital in Hamilton, Ohio. Funny how the trolls never mention any of this, isn't it? Why? Because they have a narrative. The narrative is to make it sound like I'm some deadbeat fucker that never worked a day in his life. And then the fucking Frost goddamn attorney calls over to Corbin and says, yeah, he don't deserve no SSI. He never worked. He didn't pay in. And of course, Corbin's going to listen to the Frost lawyer because the Frost lawyer also happens to be a Kentucky congressman. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that interesting? He calls up the food stamp office, says, yeah, shut off his food stamps. I had to call a state supervisor to get my food stamps turned back on, folks. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. I'm over there starving to death in that single wide. I went from 250 pounds down to 218 pounds, folks. I literally was starving to death. Yes, I was. Well, Vaughn, isn't that attempted murder? Fuck yes, it is. But because he's a congressman, is he going to get away with it? Probably. But yeah, that's attempted murder. Fuck yes, it's attempted murder. Absolutely it is. But we're doing it within the auspices of executorship and such, you know. Going to throw me out in 15 below zero temperatures. Folks, you know how long a human being lasts in 15 below zero? About 5 minutes. You become a human popsicle after that. You must find shelter immediately in those kinds of temperatures, or you will be a human popsicle. No ifs, ands, or buts. Did they know that? Of course they did. Of course they did. They had to. I mean, anybody can go online and find that information. I would have been the first Clay County human popsicle. So that's twice. Once with the food, once with eviction. That's twice. Seems like they want to kill me really bad, huh? Yeah, they do. But they got to do it the legal way, and the legal way ain't happening. Sucks to be them. And now I counteroffensive. Now I fight back. So now that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now I'm tossing them off the Sester property, which they got by illegal means. For those of you that have actually studied real estate law, you'll find that manipulating someone into selling their property is illegal. It is not fucking legal. It is illegal. You cannot manipulate a person into doing something. That's illegal. Did James Arnold Frost manipulate Alice Hilton into giving him the Sester property? Yes. Yes, he did. In fact, not only that, but they kicked me out of it. Folks, I was living on the Sester property at the time. I was living there. That was my home. And he comes over, he comes down here, he manipulates my mom with that stupid MK Ultra shit and gets her to kick me off the property. And then they come over there and you got to go right now. You got to go right now. You got to leave right now. And I'm like, well, let me get my ceiling fan out of the kitchen. No. You got to go right now. Because they knew they manipulated her. She'd been manipulated. Mom wouldn't have kicked her own son up out of his own property. No, she wouldn't have done that. What mother would have done that? Come on, use your brain, people. No mother would have done that to their son, okay? I mean, look at Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's a piece of shit, but you notice Joe Biden and Jill Biden aren't saying one word against him. Why? Because that's their son. That's their son. Of course they're not going to say one thing against him. That's their son. Even though he's a piece of shit, they're still not going to say anything because that's their son. Likewise, my mother would not have kicked me off that property. No fucking way in hell. So he used that fucking MK Ultra mind control shit to get her to kick me off the get her to kick me off the get her to kick me off the property. I want to make sure I said that right. But yeah. So now it's time for me to fight back. Now I'm punching back. And in the process, I'm going to get that Sester property back. I don't know if I can get Dad's stuff back or not because it was sold to a third party. Not sure how the legality of that works down here in Kentucky. Now in Ohio, I would be able to get that back. And then, of course, the party that bought it would be compensated. But here in Kentucky, they do things differently because they're a Commonwealth state. So I don't know how they would deal with that. I may not be able to get Dad's property back. We'll have to see. But in any event, I will get the Sester property. But either one way or the other. Either I can get it through the fact that they manipulated her out of it, or I can get it back through the fact that they've spent most of the $32 million and they'll have to give me the property to compensate. So either way, I'm getting the Sester property. Either way, the Frosts are going to have to get their happy ass back to Ohio, provided they don't go to jail first. So that's where we're at. And this is an open and shut case. He did walk into district court with a fraudulent document. There's no getting around that. And he can't feign ignorance. There's no way he can feign ignorance. He just can't. It's impossible. How are you ignorant over having a fake document in your hand? Plus, don't forget, they came into court with a fake eviction document too. And thank God Mom was still alive at the time. She said, well, I never signed that. It's like, what'd you come in with that for? I never signed that. I never authorized that. Oops. I can't understand why he didn't get arrested right then on the spot. Because that was an obvious forgery. Why didn't he get arrested? Why didn't his attorney at the time get arrested? I don't know. If I'd have walked into a court of law with a fraudulent document, I'd have been arrested immediately. But I want to do things the hard way. Everything's got to be done the fucking hard way. So, okay. Everything's got to be done the hard way. And like I said, James Arnold Frost has a history of manipulating my mother. He manipulated her into selling the family businesses out from underneath me. Now, get this. Think about this, okay? My father and my mother both are training me to run those nursing homes, okay? My father's showing me how to run the boiler system, showing me the electrical system and, all that gobbledygook. And then Mom is showing me, here's how you run the books. Here's how you maintain charts. Here's how you, check the patients every 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. All right. So my parents are teaching me, literally teaching me how to run that business. Not only that, but I was the one that spoke with the state of Ohio. When the state of Ohio would come in for inspection, guess who went with them? That would be me. I went with them. I went with them throughout the building, and they would inspect the patients, they would inspect the beds, they would inspect the walls, the floors, literal white glove shit. And I went with them. We checked the charts, all the paperwork had to be just so. And so I was learning all that. And then out of nowhere, Mom sells the family businesses to some fool in Columbus, Ohio that didn't even want them. We found out later. The guy in Columbus didn't even want the businesses. He said they were forced upon him by Alice, by my mother. Why? MK Ultra mind control. He manipulated her into selling the family businesses literally right out from underneath me. Vaughn, it sounds like this guy's got a vendetta. Fuck me, you think? You think he's got a vendetta? But it gets better, folks, because then he fucking goes to her again. He finds out, I don't know how the fuck he found out, but he found out that me and Mom had an agreement. Now, you got to remember, this was years ago, okay? And at the time, my student loans were only $8,000. That was it, just $8,000. And Mom absolutely hated my Rent-A-Center furniture. She absolutely despised it. And she said, look, if you take back this Rent-A-Center furniture, I will pay off your student loans. And I said, so I take back $12,000 worth of furniture and you pay off $8,000 worth of student loans. I said, that sounds like a fair deal to me. And so we agreed. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have anything in writing, sadly. But it was my mom, right? And I wasn't expecting somebody to go right behind me and fucking manipulate her like that. But he went right behind me and manipulated her into not paying off those student loans. So what happened? Well, the student loans ended up hanging over my head like a sword of Damocles. Couldn't get a job, couldn't get cars, See, folks, business checks your credit, all right, before they hire you. So if you got bad credit, you can't get a job, especially in Ohio. Can't get a job. They won't hire you. They look at your credit. If you got bad credit, like student loans, they won't hire you. They just won't. Couldn't get a job, couldn't get a business loan, couldn't get a car, couldn't do anything. And them student loans was held over my head like a sword of Damocles, literally ruining my entire life. So yeah, the guy's got a vendetta, a big one. And it started way back before I was even an adult. And you say, well, Bon, what in the hell is that? What does that all mean? Buddy, I don't know. I do not know. I wish I knew. I've been approached. I've been approached by the authorities, behind the scenes. Like, what's this dude's major problem with you? I said, I don't know. I never associated with these people in Ohio. I never went around and hung out with them in Ohio. The only time I ever meet the pros would be at family reunions. That's it. And even at the family reunion, they wouldn't hang out with me. They're off doing their own damn thing. So what's up with that? Well, the only thing I can figure is that they didn't like the fact that Mom and Dad married each other. That's the only thing I can come up with. But now, why in the fuck they target me? That's not my fault. I mean, it's not my fault that Mom and Dad got together. That's not my fault. But I guess they see me as the epitome of everything wrong, And so that's why they've targeted me from the beginning, from the inception. Now, who was it that manipulated my mother into leaving 2 blockages in my father's chest? A 100% blockage and a 75% blockage. And don't sit there and try to deny me that this shit didn't happen. I was right fucking there when her and the doctor were talking. So don't sit there and say I didn't hear this. I was right there when they said it. 100% blockage and a 70. Left it in his chest, and guess what? Oh, he expired. Wow, what a shock, right? You leave a 100% and a 75% in somebody's chest, of course they're going to fucking die. Now, who was it that could have manipulated her into doing something like that? Well, the only person I know that has MK Ultra mind control technology would be the Frost. Because I sure don't. I have the ability to fight it. I have the ability to repel it. But I don't have the ability to use it. So my father dies in 2006, 2007. Just recently, just a few years back, my mom passed away. James Arnold Frost comes over here to the double wide and sits his ass down in that couch right over there and turns to my mother. I'm sitting there across the way watching, and he turns to her and says, "You need to call the sheriff and have Andrea arrested. She broke the law." Mom gets up, doesn't even ask any questions, doesn't turn to look at him funny or nothing. Just gets up, goes to the phone, grabs the phone, calls the sheriff, and hangs up the phone. And I'm just sitting there watching this shit in disbelief. Because it's one thing to hear about it. It's one thing to think about it. It's quite another thing to actually see the shit happen in real time. I watched this shit happen in real time. And she just gets up stone-faced and just goes and grabs the phone, calls the sheriff, just pretty as you please, plops back down in the chair. Not one question, not one inquisitive look, not one anything. Nothing. Blank stare. I thought, that's peculiar. Now, I didn't mind at the time because I knew that me and her had just come from the courthouse and that we hadn't committed no crime. So I wasn't worried about it. You know, I let it ride because I'm like, well, hell, we didn't break no laws. He's full of shit. And I think I might even said that. I said, you know, I probably even said that you're full of shit. We just come from, folks, if we had broken the law, then courthouse officers would have never let us leave the building. Okay. So it's fascinating. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, you know, even if he did get her to do that, it doesn't matter because we never broke the law. So we'll be fine. Well, I didn't anticipate what happened next. So we're sitting there waiting. Here comes the deputy sheriff. Deputy sheriff comes out, pulls into the driveway. Me, Mom, and Andrea go out there to meet. The kids are watching from the kitchen window, by the way. All three of them. So they're all three watching from the kitchen window. Deputy sheriff comes out, and he gets on his computer in the cruiser. And he's looking around. He says, "She never committed no crime." And at that point, Mom flies into a rage. I mean, a full-blown motherfucking rage. Blood red eyes, the whole works. Starts screaming at the top of her lungs, "I want her off the property now." She screamed so loud, I know they had to hear her at Rock Castle Church down the road there. They had to have. They had to have heard her. "I want her off the property now." Who does something like that, folks? Who acts that way? There's only two possibilities. Somebody that's demon possessed or somebody that's under mind control. Pick one. I win either way. I win either way. Pick one. That's the only two options you got. Demon possession or mind control. Pick one. Because that was not normal behavior. No fucking way. And to be quite honest, I was afraid the deputy would arrest her, but he didn't. So she's sitting there screaming bloody murder at this deputy. And then finally the deputy, I guess, in sheer frustration, grabs Andrea and takes her off the property. My three children watched that happen from the window. They watched their mommy being handcuffed and taken off the property for doing absolutely nothing wrong. And that piece of shit down the road named James Arnold Frost was the one that did it. There's no getting around that. There's no denying it. There's no shirking it. They say, "Well, Vaughn, why would he break up your family like that?" Because it's easier to get me off the property that way. It's harder than hell to get a family off the property. Ask any real estate agent. They'll tell you. Ask any real estate agent. It's harder than hell to get a family off the property. But if you can break that family up, then it's real easy to get the property away from somebody. But it's harder than hell to get a family off property, man. Ask any real estate agent. So it was all by design, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. It's all by design. Every bit of it by design. And then now I take their fucking ass to court and I get back my inheritance. And I'm going to try to get back the kids as well. Hopefully I will. And we're going to fucking put this shit back the way it was before these frosts came down here and meddled in my affairs. Remember, folks, I'm handling my mother's finances before the frost came down here. I got an accommodation from the bank. I did such a good job. Isn't that amazing? But we're gonna make damn sure that everything gets put back the way it was before they fucking come down here. And they're gonna give me back every dime of my $32,141,500.52. What was done to my family should never ever be allowed to be repeated again. You know, like I said on John's live show yesterday, I'm the poster child for online terrorism. I mean, I'm the poster child. Ain't nobody been treated like shit more than me. Nobody. So, yeah. Now it's time for me to fight back. And I intend to do exactly that. And I went and took my document. I went to an attorney, a local attorney. I said, you know, check this document, make sure it's legal, make sure I can use it, blah, 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 blah. He went in there, went on his computer, checked everything, said, yep, totally legal. I'm like, all right, cool. So my document has been approved for use. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to turn it in, pay my fee, get it notarized by the notary. And then we're off to the Camptown races, boys and girls. Now you say, well, Vaughn, do you have any proof of all this crap you said earlier? Absolutely. I've got the entire staff of Center Haven Nursing Home, and I got the entire staff of Helton's Nursing Home. And I'll just ferry them in one at a time to testify under oath. Hey, man, did Mom say that James Arnold Frost told her to sell those? Oh, yeah, I heard her say it. I'll just ferry witness after witness after witness after witness one at a time. And then when James Arnold Frost told Mom over the phone that he wasn't going to give her back her lawn equipment, he wasn't going to give her back her money, he wasn't going to give her back her guns, the house was packed and he was on a speakerphone. I'll start ferrying those witnesses in. I'll start ferrying those witnesses in. And they'll testify. Yep, he said it. I heard him say it on speakerphone. He said those words. Said, I ain't giving you back nothing. And then hung up the phone angrily. I ain't giving you nothing back. Click. So there you go. Well, where I come from, we call that grand theft. I don't know what y'all call it, but we call that grand theft where I come from. I ain't giving you back your money. I ain't giving you back your lawn equipment. I ain't giving you back your guns. I ain't giving you back your jewelry. Where I come from, we call that grand theft. You call it whatever the fuck you want, but we call it grand theft where I come from. So, are the Frosts in deep shit? You bet. Are they going to be able to wiggle their way out of this? No fucking way in hell. No fucking way in hell are they going to wiggle out of this one. I'm telling you, somebody ought to be calling CPS and tell them to get in that little silver minivan and going and getting my kids and bringing them back. You know, if my kids should suddenly turn up, say today or tomorrow, before I file, I might overlook the whole damn thing if I get my kids back. But nobody seems to be too eager to call CPS to go get my kids and get them back here to this house. So, looks like I'm going to be filing, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Because I said that, a week ago? I said, hey, go give me my kids back, and I'll overlook the whole damn thing. But nope, can't do that. So, okay. Okay, I throw everybody in jail. Anybody that had any association with the Frosts at all is going to prison. Yeah, they are. Because I'm going to insist on it. And it doesn't matter because, the Frosts are going to squeal like little pigs anyway. Well, so-and-so helped me, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did. They're going to squeal like little pigs because they're not going to want to go to jail by themselves. They're going to want to take everybody that helped them with them. So they're going to squeal like little pigs. I guarantee it. They're going to finger everybody that helped them, everybody that had anything to do with the destruction of my marriage or the destruction of my finances. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because they're not going to want to go to jail by themselves now, are they? No. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, if today or tomorrow a silver minivan with CPS people and my kids in it suddenly shows up, either today or tomorrow, I might be willing to overlook the whole damn thing. You never know. Because at least with Jerry's $750 a month coming in, we can kind of survive on that a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, I'm going after him. I'm going to get all my shit. I'm going to get it all back. I'm going to get it all back, make everything back the way it was before the Frosts intervened, before these trolls intervened. Now you say, well, Vaughn, you can't bring your wife back. No, sadly, that's true. 5 mental conditions, folks. They were talking to her back behind my back on the other computer. I call it her computer because I was letting her have it, but letting her use it rather. But they were back there. I didn't know they were back there talking to her the whole time, and then somebody planted in her mind the idea of killing her children. Gee, I wonder who has the ability to control people's minds and manipulate people's minds. No, do you know anybody that can do that shit? Now, who would have the ability to plant a seed in her mind to kill her own children? Who would do that? Interesting, huh? But yeah, I'm talking to her in the car, and somehow, some way, I ended up finding out that that had been put in her mind. I'm like, oh shit. So I had to take her to the hospital and tell them what's going on. I dodged a bullet. Somehow, some way, the gods revealed it to me, and I was able to get her out of here and get her to the hospital. Someone had put it in her mind to kill her own children. And I only know one person that has that ability, and it ain't me. Like I said, I have the ability to repel shit like that. I don't know how to do it. There's only one person I know that knows how to fuck with somebody's head. So now you figure it out. But they put a thought in her mind to kill her own children. And somehow the gods revealed it. And so I sent her straight to the hospital, buddy. I didn't even stop. I went straight to the hospital, pulled the orderly to the side and said, hey, she needs to tell you something. And I had her tell him, and his eyes got this fucking big. He's like, oh, well, we need to let you speak to somebody. We need to let you speak to someone. So I got her out of here just in the nick of time. They had planted that seed in her mind, and then they were going to spring her by using a keyword. And then as soon as they said a particular keyword, whatever that keyword might have been, she would have killed her own kids. I dodged a bullet, saved the life of my children on top of it. Funny how the trolls don't talk about that either. But that's okay. Nobody knows what's going on except me. And I'm going to make it right. At least till I can get into court and get this shit rolling. Hopefully make it nice and quick. Get my shit back right away so that I can get back to being a normal human being again. Because I tell you, this just barely exists and sucks. Okay? It sucks. And then, boys and girls, we see what we can do about these fucking online trolls wanting their lol suit. We'll get you your lol suit, don't worry. I am hopeful that I'm going to go into court. I'm going to get 100% victory. Well, I have to. I mean, he walked into court with with 2 fake documents. You know, why he wasn't arrested immediately, I do not know. But it doesn't matter. The point is that I can't lose. There's no fucking way I can lose this case. So, and then, like I said, the lawyers I spoke with, both the AI lawyer and the human lawyer, ironically, both of them said, make sure to get damages, penalties, pain and suffering. So I'm going to get, now they said damages and penalties, but there's also pain and suffering as well. And so I'm going to try and get that as well. I'm going to get the maximum that the law will allow me. All right. But the lawyer was very adamant, especially the human lawyer was very adamant about it. He said, if I'm your attorney, you're not leaving there without your money, your kids, damages, and penalties. Now that's what the human lawyer said. And so I'm gonna try and express that to the judge that's what we're after. And then, like I said, pain and suffering on top of that. This should hopefully reverse a lot of things and try to put the ox cart back the way it goes, with the horse in front of the cart, not behind the cart. Hopefully. And these dumbasses say, oh, well, it ain't your money, it's Jerry's money. Hey, fucker, Jerry ain't 18. So who handles his money? Somebody's got to handle his money. Who the fuck handles it? The government? No, that's the last person you want handling Jerry's money. His father is supposed to handle his money until he turns 18. That's every family that does that, not just mine. But see, they had to say that to get the money away from me. And I already cleared it with Corbin anyway. I said, hey, can I use Jerry's money to pay bills? They said, absolutely you can. He has to live there too. And so, yeah, but they were saying, oh, well, you can't use Jerry's money to pay bills. Yes, I can. Corbin said so. So y'all are fucking liars, aren't you? Yes, you are. You just used that as an excuse to take Jerry and the kids away from me. His money, rather. His money and the kids away from me. That's why you did it. But yeah, Corbin already said, yeah, man, and he's got to live there too. So yeah, you can pay the bills. I may just file today. Beat the Christmas rush. Or in this case, beat the Valentine's Day rush. I'm going to have a really nice Valentine's Day. Seems like. I'm going to have a really nice Valentine's. Because they're going to have to give me everything they got just to pay back all the money they spent. All them fancy cars, all them fancy four-wheelers with all the lights on them and shit. That's all got to come back to me. They're going to have to give me that shit, or they're going to have to sell it and give me the money. Because it's all coming to me. Everything. Like I've stated, I don't give a damn what Clay County does with the frost. As long as I get my money and I get my kids, I don't give a damn what they do. Because they've destroyed them documents by now. The World War II documents and the war bonds and the treasury bills and certificates of deposit. And there's still insurance policies out there. They give me, the Frost did, I will say this, the Frost did give me some old insurance policies from years ago. And, of course, where's the current ones? Well, don't know. Where's my truck deed? Where's the title deed to my truck? They never gave that back. I had to file a lost title to get tags on my truck. They wouldn't give me back the title deed to my truck. So, but that's okay. Everything's going to be made right. Everything's going to be put back the way it was before the frost came down here and before the trolls intervened. It's just a shame that Andrea can't enjoy it or my parents can't enjoy it. But maybe my kids can. And don't forget, boys and girls, my kids lost everything. They lost their childhood. They lost their father, their mother, both sets of grandparents. You don't think they're going to sue the fuck out of these goddamn YouTube trolls? Of course they are. Of course they are. And they deserve it too. They absolutely deserve it. Man, oh man. This should never, ever be allowed to be done to a family ever again.